T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. Trap Talk presents New Breed on the Block series. I'm your boy MJ. What is good, everybody? If this is your first time tapping in, do your boy a favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way you're on top of every single Trap Talk I drop here. What's wrong with my mic? I'm just having technical difficulties today, man. Sorry. Usually I'm not the one with sound check problems. It's really not, but today it's me. So just look, I don't know what's happening. Holy crap. Anyways, guys, we good? Are you done? All right, we're good. But guys, I come out with about 3 podcasts a week here. So if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be on top of every single podcast I come out with. You won't be slept on, which is a huge thing because you never know what information you're going to hear on this podcast. That's why it's the coolest reptile podcast in the world. I shout to all my supporters out there. If you're coming back and you're a recurring viewer and you're a subscriber, salute to you. Shout out to all my early birds in the building. I see you guys there. I'll get to you guys in just a second. But you guys know how we roll on this channel. For the freshest and bestest rodents delivered to your doorstep, Cold Blooded Cafe, #1 in the game. $30 flat rate shipping straight to your doorstep. Shout out to Steven. Shout out to Desiree. Shout out to Sim Container. John and Alex, if you got eggs, put them inside of a sim box. If it's a sim, it's a win. Less steps, less stress, all day, every day. Thank you so much, John and Alex. And then shout out to Steven and Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats, coming out with some amazing designs with these PVC built-in closures. And what do you know? Flexing Texas all day, every day. Shout out to Steven and Ashley. Appreciate you guys' support. And the shout out to the #1 stainless steel rack company in the game. That's Freedom Breeder, made in the United States. Original gangsters type stuff. I'm telling you right now, they are the best. I love my Freedom Breeder racks. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to the entire Freedom Breeder crew. And shout out to my big dog, my boy, Miguel Garcia. Always evolving pythons, always making big moves, always inspiring. Appreciate your support. Please head over to Instagram, give him a follow, head over to his Morph Market, see what he's going to have available, because I'm telling you right now, he's going to have mad heat this year. Appreciate you, big dog. Appreciate the entire AP family for your love and support. And then also, if you're into boreal snakes like myself, if you're definitely into emeralds, you're going to want to tap into my boy Alan over at Amazing Basins. Please head over to Instagram, see what he has going on. And if you really want to tap into his basin projects and really get the scoop on like the 411 on things, you're going to want to join his Patreon page for sure. He updates everybody with stuff on that. So I appreciate you, Alan. Thank you so much for your support. And please, guys, hit him up on Instagram. He has mad stuff going on. Appreciate my boy Blake Stewart over at Stewart Design. If you are looking to invest your brand to the next level, if you want to be that next, Kabelka to Canova type change type move, then this is the guy you want to go through. Shout out to Blake Stewart, stidentity.com. Hit him up on Instagram. And make sure you come correct. Shout out to my boy Mark Bailey over at Mark Bailey Reptiles, OG, triple OG. If you've been in ball pythons for a while, I don't even need to explain to you who the hell this guy is, but this guy is so legendary, and he supports me. Big bro shit. I appreciate you so much. Head over to his Morph Market, please. Give him a follow and be ready for some heat, because Mark Bailey produces some of the best ball pythons that I've seen on a consistent basis. Shout out to my boy Mark Bailey. Appreciate your support, big dog. And then appreciate the leader of the industries right here. We have Rami, the Reptile Super Show. Sickest, hardest, coolest reptile show on the West Coast by far. I love going to Reptile Super Show. We have Pomona right around the corner. Then we have the Vegas show. I'm looking to tap into both. I hope you guys are ready for that. And then, of course, we have the NARBC, man. Here we go. I cannot wait to head over to Arlington. Arlington's right around the corner. It's going to be happening next month. We're already in August, man. This year's already fucking flying by. Oh, yeah, it's my birthday month. Woo! I ain't going to tell you how old I'm turning, because I feel like I'm 20 or something, so we'll go with that. But anyways, August, big things pop in. And then, like I said, September, cannot wait to be at Arlington. All my Texans, cannot wait to tap in with you guys. It's going to be a great time. I have a very big episode lined up for Arlington, so just be ready for that. Big things popping. And again, shout out to Bob Ashley, shout out to Brian Potter for throwing one of the funnest, sickest shows, the Super Bowl reptile shows, and that's NARBC. Appreciate those guys. Shout out to Phil Goss. Thank you so much for getting us that win, that huge win. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that means you're not following US ARC. You need to go down to the link and become a US ARC member. Help us with this fight. It's never going to stop. These wins will only mean that more fights are ahead of us, and we got to come and stick together. So please go down to US ARC, become a US ARC member. At least go to US ARC's YouTube channel and subscribe to their US ARC, and that way you stay up to date on current events and whatnot. It's very important. You never know when things are going to hit you in your area, and it's good to stay woke, if you know what I mean. If you want to see what I have going on more than the podcast, if you want to tap into my projects and what animals I work with and whatnot, I'm very active on Instagram. So head over to my Instagram, MJ Exotics Cartel. Go give me a follow and hit me up if you have any questions. MJ Exotics Cartel with an A, not an E. And then please go give my podcast a page a follow. Trap Talk with MJ Podcast. Appreciate all that. Appreciate all my Twitch viewers. If you're on Twitch watching, salute to you. I appreciate you so much. And then if you out there would like to support me more than a subscribe, more than a view, a couple ways you can go about that. You can actually send a super chat if you have a super chat and you have a question for Corey or myself. Go ahead and drop a super chat and I will put it on the big screen. And then also you can send any donation to Exotics Cartel with an A, not an E. But more importantly, man, if you really want to support me, if you want to be a part of this movement, if you want to get more out of what you see on this podcast and tap in behind the scenes, then the best thing you can do is join the Trap Talk Patreon family. So go down to the link below and click on the Trap Talk Patreon link and join the family. Shout out to my Patreon members. I had a great time on the Zoom call last night. I get together with my Patreon members every Sunday. And after you join the Patreon family, you get tapped into the Discord. And the Discord is when you meet the whole family. Everyone's cracking on there. It's awesome. You can share stuff, sell stuff, you name it. Shout out to everyone part of the Patreon. Love you guys so much. And then who's here? Who's ready to rock and roll? Who's ready for Corey Martin? I know I'm ready, man. Damn, mad people in the building. We have Jacob. What is good, Jacob? Trap Talk Management in the building. Thank you for being here. Please go give him a follow on Instagram. Shout out to the homie Clutch, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. I salute you. Thank you so much, player. Heathen Hatchery, another Trap Talk Patreon member. All my Patreon members in the building. I appreciate you guys. Hell, look at Chantel, Team Zoo Dreams in the building. What's up, Chantel? Thanks for tapping in. The homie Josh. What is up, Josh? Scale Fins and Feathers. Trap Talk Patreon member all day. The homie J Rock in the building. Barber J. Go give him a follow on Instagram. Definitely Trap Talk Patreon member all day. And OG, another OG Trap Talk Patreon member. Big Mike, 1776 Exotics. Damn, I'm loving the love right now, man. Big things happening with me and the big homie Mike this month. Be ready for that one. Give him a follow on Instagram too. Runyon Reptiles, what is good? Runyon Reptiles, thanks for tapping in. Wise Guys, what is good? Forget about it. The homie Bods, Exotic Reptiles. Big things popping with the homie Bods, too. I got to talk to you about something, player. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Thanks for your support, Jeremy. Damn, the homie Williams, look at this. Super chat right off the bat. Let's go. William Philly Peck. You know I said that right. Did I say that right? Anyways, you're my boy, William. This guy right here, man, I'm telling you, he just hatched out some white-lipped pythons, but he's just definitely grounded on so many different species. Somebody you want to go follow, please go give my boy William a follow. TJW Exotics on Instagram. He's also doing some heavy lifting on Facebook as well. Well, that's my dog right there. I appreciate William. Cannot wait to link with you. I believe Tinley, right? We'll be at Tinley together for sure. Let's see. We have Gina Points in the building. What's up, Gina Points? Thanks for tapping in. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Chad 2 in the building. And guess what? Chad is a Patreon member 2. Like that? I'm pretty high. Thank you so much for your support, Chad. And you got the homie Sean Perry in the building. What's up, Sean Perry? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, and he's an OG. That's what's up. The homie Troy Schroeder. What's up, Troy? Hey. That's all I could read that. I feel like that's how you would say that. Sorry, Troy. Thanks for being here, Troy. I love Troy. Troy's definitely one of the guys I love seeing at any show. And I always talk about that. Shout out to Troy. Father Blue in the building. What's up, player? Thanks for tapping in, Father Blue. Brandon Hernandez. What is up, Brandon Hernandez? Jake Hole. What is up, player? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Eric's More Factory. What is good? Triple G in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Look who we have here. The mayor of Chondrotown. We have Bill Stiegel, not Stegel. I'm just saying, some people call him Bill Stegel. It's not Stegel, right, Bill? Let him know. It is Bill Stiegel, the mayor of Chondrotown. And I'm going to end this with style because nobody can outdo my boy Bill, in my opinion. It's my boy Bill, the mayor. Thank you for being here. I'm excited. That means Texas is in the building. Who's ready for this? Because guess what? New Breed on the Block series. I don't even know how new Corey is. I don't think Corey's that new, to be honest. So I'm kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm going to really rock with that right now. But I want to find out because all I know is I know people who I respect in this game that respect her game. So I want to know more about Corey Martin. So here she is, tapping in, flexing Texas all day. Corey Martin from Corey Martin Reptiles. Hi, Corey.
Hey, how are you? That was an intro. Thank you.
I'm excited. I'm happy you're here. And then you know what gets me excited? When I see all this support in the live chats. This is awesome.
Yeah.
How you living? How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. So I am going through a whole lot of adjustments right now. I just left my day job and I'm doing this full time now. And so
Whoa.
it's a whole thing. So
I love this. Is like, these are the things I'm after. Obviously we're in the beginning of all this, but I'm sure this took a lot of I don't know. Did you premeditate this, or was this kind of like an overnight thing?
No, this had a lot more to do with I just like burned the fuck out on my regular job. And so I needed to leave that. And I was, I was freaking out about the number of babies that I had in the incubator and how I was going to make it all work. And so it just kind of ended up being a natural segue, which is great because I've had a lot. Yeah.
I'm going to stop you real quick. I feel bad. I was really happy that Bill Stiegel's here, right? But here I am fucking up. And then we have this guy in the building as well. Right? Shout out to Chris Eaton, my boy right here. My partner in podcast crime. Let's just say that. Thank you for being here, Chris. I appreciate it. And again, thank you to everyone who's tapping in. Everyone who's tapping in, let's get the lights up for Corey. But anyways, continue, Corey, please.
Yeah, I don't even know where I was. But I unexpectedly productive season this year.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah, and so I'm in the process of figuring all that out. It's fun.
So why don't we take things from when it started? I mean, first off, how about this? What were you doing before you went ahead and decided to go full time?
Yeah, so I'm a lawyer, and so I was a mental health public defender. So I represented people in commitment hearings. So it was pretty intense. So
wow. And you did that for how long?
So I did it for a couple of years in that job. I transitioned into a different job within the court that I was working for about 6 months ago, and it ended up being really, really, really not a good fit. So I was getting people were hitting me, and it was a whole I had to go visit people in mental hospitals, and believe it or not, a lot of people in mental hospitals are not stable. So
yeah,
it was a lot.
Who would have thought? Well, listen, things happen for a reason. I'll tell you what, right. I'm saved by this. For what I have going on in my life, all due to the animals.
Right. Absolutely.
And I'm curious now. I want to know how this came about. Were you just a girl with a dream and always loved snakes, or how did you even want to become a Corey Martin?
Yeah. So it started with my son. So I've always been an animal person, but was never really a reptile person. And my son was I have two kids with autism, and my son was going through a rough time, and he had been wanting a snake forever. And I had told him, we're never getting a snake. No way, that's not going to happen. And it got to a point where we needed to find something to motivate him. And I was like, all right, well, if you can do this, I'll get you the snake. So we went out to get him the snake, and the next day I went back and got one for myself, and then it just kind of spiraled from there. I had no idea how incredible snakes were until I started really getting into it, and I got into it pretty hot and heavy.
That's what she said, literally.
That's right.
And how old is your son now?
So that son is 14.
14.
And he does nothing to take care of anything. It's I'm doing a whole lot wrong.
Yeah, listen, you don't want to know one thing, and I don't want to say if this is good or bad, but here, my dad let me do whatever I wanted. I did all the fun things a kid could think of, right? But like, I could tell he lived through me, you know. And the reason the reason why I know he did is because when it came to like, you know, having to clean my dirt bike or having to do something, like he wouldn't let me do it. Like he was like, "Go."
Oh,
like,
really?
And I'm like, "All right, cool. I'm out. Like I don't need to. No, get out of here. Like I'm all right. Like working on the bike was always his thing, you know. And like he liked it, and he much rather not be bothered by it. That's I could see myself with my future kid with my snakes. You know, even though I would love help, I'm very like, even when my wife wants to help me, sometimes when I need the help, I'll even tell her I don't need help. You know,
it's just because hard.
It's hard because then I have to stop what I'm doing and I have to break things down to you on what I need done. And I'm not I'm organized, but I do my stuff all over the place. Like I'm not in order. I go as I think. You know what I mean? And so, just for me to have to take energy to think about how to explain that to somebody, it shuts me down. And I go, oh God, like, you know what I mean? And I'd much rather be mad at myself if something goes wrong versus the other person, you know?
Oh, totally. Easier. My 9-year-old daughter tries to join me a lot. And whenever she does, I'm like, well, shit, this is going to take 2 hours longer.
God bless them. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's true.
Now, Corey, how many kids do you have?
I have 4.
4 kids.
So,
awesome.
4 kids. Yeah. So my oldest is 17 and my youngest is 9. So yeah, lots of stuff going on.
So remind me, your 14-year-old, the one that basically got you started with this, he was how old when this all started? How old was he?
10. So I've been in this for about 4 years.
Okay.
This is currently my 3rd season breeding.
So you're in Texas, which, you know, that's definitely an advantage, right? Being in Texas, not hard to find someone to plug up with and get some help. Also, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Texas. You guys all take care of each other, which I respect and I love. I think the whole hobby should take more example out of Texas, to be honest. But that being said, what were some of the things you did, Corey? You know, right when you kind of was looking at this being more than something than for your son, what were some steps? What were some of the first steps you made to kind of turn this into a business?
So, you know, I started trying to get out on social media pretty consistently. I started getting to know people in the local area. I started to make sure I was going to all the different shows, and really getting to know people. You know, as I started the process of acquiring animals, I really, you know, worked to be someone that people liked doing business with. And that helped a lot because, you know, it needed a lot, just for a lot of reasons. That ended up being a really good thing. But it went to business pretty quickly for me. You know, I think within the first year, I knew I was going to do it for a business. So,
wow. And what were some? Do you had any influences? Like, do you had people you were talking to or associating? Oh my God, I can't say it. Associating. Oh my God, I cannot talk right now. Association. I can't talk. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
Yeah. So I've been.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead, please.
So I've been really lucky. I have a group of people in Texas that we kind of have a group that we all vend together. We all, hang out together a bunch. And so that whole group of breeders has been just really, really great for me. So it's JT Tomlinson, Mike Brizzy, Jack and Heidi Dunlap, Cody Bryan. There's a whole bunch of us, but it's been a really good a good group to be associated with, and they've helped me a lot. It's been really nice to have people I can go to as I'm figuring all this stuff out.
I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of determines, like, the people you first talk to and kind of like put your trust into really have a determination of how good you start off in this, because for the most part, you're going to listen to what they say, and it's unfortunate, but people, I don't say it's happening quite as much, but it still happens. I'm assuming that people are talking to someone thinking they're getting the right information, but they're getting misled, And
I mean, I definitely had a lot of those experiences early on where I put trust in the wrong people and got kind of fucked over from it. So I don't think I've met anyone who hasn't had that happen at least once or twice.
I'm glad you said that, because I almost thought that hasn't happened to you because how nice you are, and that maybe nobody could actually do that, but nobody gives a fuck. People, I don't care. Actually, the nicer you are, the more vulnerable you are to get fucked over. That's why I'm such a, I'm so hard.
That's why you're such an asshole, huh?
Yeah, some people don't, you don't even want to try to fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be like, I don't know. It's just something that I read through people, but I could understand, different point of views when it comes to that. All I know is that you are human, and this shit does happen to you no matter what,
Yep.
I got to ask you this. There was levels of coming into this game, obviously. What was like your first year like? I mean, did you pick up a lot of snakes? Did you like take over anyone's like proven breeders or anything like that? Like, how did you really start off your collection your first year?
So I did get some proven breeders. I picked up a few proven breeders from Justin Kabelka early on. And most of my first clutches were from animals I picked up from him. But I also grabbed, other animals as I could. So my first season was mostly from other people's provens. And then as I was also getting babies and growing them up, the majority of what I'm breeding now is stuff that I've grown up.
And like, as far as the way your setup was, I mean, did you go from like how some people put their snakes in tanks in the beginning because they don't really know how much they're going to go deep into it? Were you like somebody who just invested in racks right off the bat? Like, is that what you had from the get-go?
So I really like that you're asking me this question because it assumes a certain amount of forethought, which wasn't really there as I was going through all of this.
Right.
I looking back on it now, I wish that I would have been a little bit more intentional about thinking, okay, I want to get this number of animals over this period of time, and these are the things that I'm going to need. But it was more like, okay, here I am this month. I have this money available. What am I going to do? And so it wasn't as thought out like that. But I did go to racks pretty quickly. I think within my first couple of animals, I think we did tanks for maybe like a week and realized that was not going to work out really well. So went to racks pretty quickly, and just kind of took it from there.
I mean, you could probably, or we're not even 30 minutes into this, and you're getting all this love right now, Corey. I'm telling you,
it's amazing.
You got shout out to Antoine Hood up in the building, my boy. High Desert High. Definitely go give him a follow on Instagram. And then here we have Troy dropping $50, man. What a guy.
Troy's awesome.
I think we're just going to get the ball rolling on this because one big topic I have here with you tonight, Corey, is the Huffman gene, man. Because first time I ever came across a Huffman was a Huffman I was like this close to buying from you. I remember the show.
That super Huffman I had.
Yeah, super Huffman, hypo, GH. It was really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So really good looking snake. But anyways, I want to kind of talk to you more about the Huffman gene. If you could kind of tell us how you got introduced to that project and where it's at right now.
Yeah, so I came across it, and what really interested me in it is that it's in the cinnamon black pastel complex, but it keeps its pattern and does really wild pattern stuff in the super form instead of just going all black. And I really like the bright oranges that it brings out. So those were kind of the things that initially attracted me to it. And I just also was looking for a few projects that were a little bit off the beaten path because when you're getting started, it's kind of hard to stand out by doing exactly the same thing everyone else is doing. So I wanted to have a few things that were, a little different than everyone else. Huffman is... this past season I made a couple of Huffman hypopides, and they are the most orange, incredible snakes that some of the most gorgeous animals I've seen. So I'm really, really excited about that and seeing where that project goes. Yeah.
Where were you? Like, how did this even come about? Like, were you on Morph Market? Did you talk to someone who gave you like?
Yeah, I mean, it had to do with talking to people in groups, and back when groups were a thing. I guess I don't know if they're still a thing, but they were when I first got into it. And yeah, looking around on Morph Market, and I don't know, it was just something that looked interesting to me, and so I got a couple of animals, and then they ended up being some of my early breeders, and so I ended up with a good amount of it in my collection.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so let's see, let's kind of like rewind on what your game plan was coming into this when it comes to recessive and codoms. I was kind of not bamboozled, but I mean, I just saw pretty looking snakes and I was chasing that without even kind of looking deeper, like and seeing what the untapped stuff was. Because I came in 2017 is when I came in, Corey, and okay. My eyes were only on what was like hot and not like, like DG, right? Like I had a chance to get DG from the very beginning, and for whatever reason, Hypo just looked cooler because it was in so many other codoms at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh hell, why would I want to go with this DG? Because clearly there was no DG clown shit at that time. Like DG, I mean, I'm sure there was, but it wasn't exposed the way it's out there. You see people like Levance and Will Morrow's dropping this DG heat, and you're just like sweating. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
I was just like, it took me a good year and a half until I realized how much I need to adjust, focus on these untapped, recessive genes. So I'm curious, like, what was your flow into this? Did you know recessives were important from the get-go, or were you a late bloomer like myself?
I did. So I started buying a whole lot of like het females really, really early on, with a plan of I was going to have a whole bunch of het females and then have a couple of visual males and get into recessives like that. So I think at this point I have something like, I don't know, 20 different females that are all het, that are various forms of het clown that I just kind of picked up over time. And so, yeah, I went in on the recessive. My very first clutch was actually a double recessive project. So I kind of got going pretty fast on the double recessive stuff.
What was it?
That one was Hypo Clown. I didn't get a visual of that clutch, but it was like visual clown het Hypo. So
which are just, I mean, back, they're just as good. You know what I mean?
What?
I said, you hold those. If you hold those all back, they're just as good as visuals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I had a couple of those girls breeding for me this season, and it's really fun when getting to that point where your animals that you bred are breeding for you.
So, how many clutches did you have your first year? I mean,
yeah. So I've pretty much been doubling every year. So I had 10 my first year. I had about 20. I think I had 26 last year, and I'm going to be at around 46 this year.
Nice.
So.
And what's the game plan moving forward? How are you looking to move up throughout the years? I mean,
yeah. So I'm trying to keep things under control size-wise, and so my plan is going to be kind of similar to what I've seen Ozzy outline a few times, where just every year move some girls out, move some new girls in, and just over time upgrade what I have in the collection, and versus just trying to go really, really big with it.
Right.
There are so many ball pythons out there in the world. I really, really don't want to be contributing to the overproduction of ball pythons. So I want to, in terms of the ball python stuff, I want to make stuff that really that I think is interesting and actually has a purpose behind it. But ball pythons are only part of what I do. I also breed carpet pythons and hognoses and other stuff. So
I see you're tapped into other species. We're definitely going to talk about that. I'm excited to touch on that. I'm curious though, because going back to what we were talking about with, you know, the amount of ball pythons that are out there, right? I mean, one thing that I kind of, you know, I had to chew my own words because I was very big on kind of saying on the podcast how, like, you know, breed with a purpose, right? Like, don't, if you're gonna breed something, do something that is, like, you want to keep those snakes. Like, don't breed something where you just have a bunch of shit you need to wholesale or something, you know, because there's so many of that already happening, right? But that being said, I still did a lot of like codon pairings that really just had one recessive in it versus putting the recessive to other recessives, making a bunch of heads, right? Like, that's the thing I should have done, you know, which I understand that now, but it comes to a place where you do not want to end up with a bunch of snakes that are already flooding the market, because then you're going to get desperate. And it's one thing I'm trying to avoid, Corey, is being desperate when it comes to having, like, producing snakes. Like, I do not want to have to go to a pet store. I don't want to have to go. I mean, no offense. I see you that you vend. Shout out to people who vend, but I feel like if I have to vend personally myself, knowing me, I feel like I have to vend because I'm scared of all the snakes that I have, you know. And I don't want that pressure. Like, it's not fun, you know.
No. There's nothing scarier than, you know, having more animals than you can realistically take care of, and having that feeling like, you know, you need to
especially when you're first starting.
Move stuff quickly. Totally. It's the thing that's hard with with pairing for double recessives or triple recessives, those kind of projects are, you know, you'll sometimes end up with the most amazing animal, and then everyone else in your clutch will be just kind of, you know, very, very low end stuff. And, you know, it's really, really hard to move male double heads. People don't really want them. And there's only so many that people want. And so, you know, that's kind of the downside of those situations, because they're, you know, typically those animals are lower and they're not what the pet market is really looking for. But there are only so many people who want to buy all those males. So it's
now, speaking of, you know, males and whatnot, what's your holdback game like? I mean, how's it always been? I mean, are you been really consistent on keeping back what you need? Have you had to be careful with space? How's the holdback game looking?
Yeah, so it's a fine tune. I'd err on the side of initially holding back a lot, and then as this, you know, as I move into the next season and really kind of get a better sense of what I got in the season, I'll start letting some of those initial, you know, the ones that made it past the initial round of holding back, I'll start letting a few of those go. Typically at this point, I'm making most of my females and buying really, really nice males. That's kind of where I am in terms of my purchasing right now. I can't even think when I bought my last female, but I buy, and I'm not really buying much of anything at this point, at least especially compared to what I used to buy. But yeah, this year I think I bought just a couple of really good males.
That's another thing people have to be aware of, you know, like they also say, you know, which is also true, you know, don't buy male heavy in the beginning when you have nothing, right? But
I totally bought male heavy in the beginning.
I was going to say, I mean, it depends what your game plan is, and regardless, you got at some point you will have to buy males, and they will be very important. And you just got to know when to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And backup males are important. And I didn't realize this until I got into breeding more, because just because you have the male doesn't mean he's going to do what you want him to do when you want him to do it. And so having those backup plans is also really, really a big deal. So I'm not as lean on males as some people might be because of that.
People think, you know, just the female male they have is going to get them to the fucking championships. They're tripping. Like that. There's no guarantee in anything. And also, it's like nothing guarantees that female to even lay for you the next year. So many things.
Right. Oh my God. I have females that I've, you know, bought early on that still haven't laid for me. And then, you know, other ones that turn around and, you know, end up going pretty quickly. It's really nothing is guaranteed. You could buy an amazing animal and it could be a garbage eater and decide to starve itself to death. There are just, it's animals, and you're always kind of rolling the dice with living things.
Now, let me ask you, are you like confidently saying that the first year was probably your most heavy investment year, and then throughout the years you were able to chill out and just literally just buy that one or two snake that is important to your project versus keep having to buy females and females and females?
So I think my second year was my heaviest investment year.
Okay.
I was still buying a reasonable amount of stuff my third year. And then this year is when things really kind of turned to the corner and I stopped needing to buy very much. So it's taken a while. Also, and particularly with having other species too and growing those up,
I mean, I'll as well ask you, I mean, when did, the ball pythons came, right? That's the foundation.
Yep.
Well, what made you say, well, hey, let me dabble into this? And what was that next species you got into?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted, so I've all along, early on, I grabbed I had a few other species that I just kind of had around to see what they were like. And so I had, I have a couple king snakes that I've had, just hanging out in my room for a while. I have, I got a hognose pretty early on. And then it really changed for me when I decided to get a carpet python. And the carpet python thing, I'm not entirely sure where it came from. I knew that I wanted a bigger snake, but I didn't want something enormous. And just kind of looking around, it seemed like it would be an interesting thing. And I bought one, and it was coming from ball pythons. It was amazing. They were like active and looking around, and you could like see a little bit more going on in their brain, and they're kind of a little bit more interested in the world. And something about it just really clicked with them for me. And so I started moving into carpets.
And what has been your progress with carpets? I mean, are you just, raising them up? Have you paired them up yet? I mean, what's going on with the carpets?
Yeah, so this is my third year breeding carpets. And I bred carpets. I had a pair my first year of breeding. This year I bred Brettles for the first time. Yeah, that's one of my holdbacks from my first carpet clutch.
This thing is fire, Corey.
Isn't he gorgeous?
This is a fire.
I love how dark he turned out.
What was the pairing with this? Like,
that one was actually, it was a zebra to zebra clutch, and pure jungle carpets. And there were both parents that were bred by Nick Mutton. And I bred those two my first couple of years. And then this year I had I hatched out some Brettles already. Yeah, and which was the most nerve-wracking thing in the entire world. I was not sure I was going to be able to get temperatures cold enough in Texas. I was really kind of stressing about it. And what I ended up doing was putting them in containers. I took them to my laundry room. I opened up the window in the laundry room and had an area where it could just get really, really cold in the evenings. And I did that for a few months. And
cold? I'm curious, Corey. How cold were you letting it drop?
I got into the mid 50s.
Wow.
Yep.
That's fucking awesome.
Yep. And I had my little temperature sensor push like temperature thing on my phone every night that I would be checking right before bed to see what the temperature in the room was, and somehow it managed to work out. So
daytime was getting, so at that time when they were dropping down to 50 at night, what was the daytime getting to?
So daytime, I would either they would come up to about like 75-ish in the room where they were if I left them in that room. And I would usually leave them alone in there for a few days. And then I would take them to their cages during the daytime sometimes too, so that they could get a little bit warmer in the daytime some as well, and kind of get a little bit more normal temperatures in the daytime. But I didn't do it every day. and it worked out. So
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you paired in the winter, right? Or when did you pair up?
I did, and I've heard mixed things about when to pair them. It ended up being a really early Brussels clutch for me,
Right.
and I'm guessing it's because I did pair during the winter. I've heard some people not pair at all until spring. I actually got my Brussels clutch this year before I got my IJ clutches, and so that was kind of surprising, but yeah.
Wow.
Now I've got like 23 little red fly to feed, and it's 23.
I will say, man, there are people like Patrick Holmes and maybe like a couple other people that work with this species, and it's just so underrated. Like,
I agree.
Species of snake, and I don't want to. I'm kind of here. I am kind of chewing my own words because I don't have this species. I feel like I should have because I do like working with stuff that I don't want to say is the most expensive, but there are things out here that I should be happy that it's not that expensive. Like this could easily be one of those snakes that just happen to get overpriced, and it's a part of that realm. Like this is an amazing fucking species of snakes, and even as adults, they're so big. You know what I mean? And and they're so prehistoric looking, and I feel like the prehistoric stuff is where it's at. Like
totally.
I'm obsessed. Like the Papua olives and stuff like that. Like.
Oh my God! I had a pair of Apodoras for a while.
How'd that go?
I love them.
Beautiful.
Oh my God, I love them. I ended up having my male ended up getting sick, and they were together, and so
they both crashed.
What?
They both crashed.
They both tested positive for a disease I did not want to have around my collection, so they both had to be
N-word?
No, a different one.
Is it the I word?
It was the I word.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And was it around any other snakes or
no? I thankfully they were quarantined. It happened within the first 6 months that they came in. They were in an area in the house where they were attending else.
What were you noticing from the male? What was it doing?
So the only thing that I noticed was he developed an RI, and that was it. And so I took him to the vet to get, to treat the RI, and he had been wild caught and was fairly. So we wanted to run some panels, just kind of see how he was doing. Totally shocked us that he had it.
Right.
Because he wasn't showing any external symptoms.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Because IBD is technically like in boas, right? That's fucking like 8. Like there's no coming back. Like that thing is gonna dry up like a piece of jerky.
Yeah.
But the python seems like they could deal with it.
Yeah, apparently. It was really surprising, and thankfully I had that one scare. Thankfully I was really, really good about quarantining, and there haven't been any further issues.
So let's get a hot topic going here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Obviously, there's been a huge push on Nido talk lately, and how there's been a big scare of Nido being in people's collections. But I mean, you're here saying that Nido is just one of many things we should be really concerned about.
Yeah,
is that right?
That's right. I mean, there are many zoonotic diseases. Nido is not the only one.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like if you're gonna make a big deal out of one thing, you better be talking about the rest of the stuff that we could potentially run into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just Nido is one of many cases, and then also you have certain snakes like ball pythons, for instance, that could live with Nido. Also, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then we have chondros that don't do so well with Nido. So it's like
totally.
You have certain species that do okay with certain diseases almost, and it's like, or viruses or whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's one of the things you have to pay attention to as someone keeping a more varied collection, especially.
Right. And I'm curious because I'm sure obviously you knew when you already had snakes, especially investment snakes, adding other stuff you want to work with. Quarantine was the first thing that came to your mind, right? Like,
oh yeah.
So, what was your quarantine process like, or how is your quarantine process like if you do work with an import? Like, how long do you like?
Yeah, so
good.
So I've done imports a few times. I also have a trio of imported IJs, and they ended up without any issues. But I quarantine for a full year. I do fecals, and I, do, usually at that point I had just been doing fecals. I haven't brought any imports in since that experience. That kind of spooked me off of imports, to be honest. And so, but yeah, I had been doing fecals, and testing that way. But the main thing was keep them isolated. I had one of my IJs came in, and she had subdermal parasites. So she had these little pockets in her skin that were all puffed up, and there would be like these nematodes inside. And so we had to take care of those and get all those out. But that was super fun.
Imports, you're going to learn something for sure. I can tell you.
Oh my God. It was in terms of like, growing my knowledge in the hobby. It was one of the most informative experiences for sure.
I mean, and this is why, nothing against anybody who just keeps ball pythons, but man, are you missing out on so much? I'm just saying, like, there's stuff that will make you appreciate how simple ball pythons are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I found Ball Python Foundation is with me until I retire. I'm never going to get rid of that. Why would I? They're so nice to me. You know what I mean?
They are.
Yeah,
They're so easy.
But because of them, I could really invest in my emotional energy into stuff that's really hard to do. You know what I mean? And,
that's right.
And then also too, think about how your mind is not just wrapped around your ball python projects, which could probably get old, you would think, right? Like if all you're thinking is ball pythons, me personally, I get bored of shit like that. Like I have to have more than one thing going on in my head.
And so the thing with ball pythons too is, there's not a super, as defined a breeding season for them typically. And so, most of us have some that are kind of breeding year round. And it's basically you throw a male in with a female and, eventually you get babies. It's easy breeding. And I don't think I really appreciated how easy it was until I started breeding other species where, you really have to look at a lot of other factors like cooling them down and, food cycling and, all of that kind of stuff.
And, I would even say this too, ball pythons, it comes down to, I don't know, I don't want to say you need to invest in ultrasounds, but it comes down to where if you have a real powerful male, you got to be smart. Like ball python. Here's the breeding part. I feel like is easy. Staying relevant, not easy. Okay, being in the ball python game and you're being on a respectable level every year and you're getting jocked. That's not easy to do. Okay, I will say that's fucking not easy to do. But sure. Your chances of these two snakes doing the deed and you getting eggs, you don't have to worry about that. I feel like you know what I mean? Which God forbid nothing happens. Dude, isn't it all luck? I mean, come on. At the end of the day, it's fucking 80% luck, 20% skill. Like, let's really be real about this.
Yeah, well, no, at the end of the day, you can't make a female ovulate if she's not going to ovulate. Like, you can't.
It's not on your terms. Bro, you know what I mean? And I've seen things where this is my first year where I had, I think, 2 girls. I get 26, millimeters, and it just stopped. And I'm like, what happened? Well, you were just off food. Why are you eating? And all of a sudden they went from being gigantic to now they're just back to if nothing happened. And that happens when you have more snakes at play. I went from what my first year was 7 pairings, last year was 16, and this year I have over 30. So now I'm going to start seeing what all these other big fucking time breeders are talking about. Right. Because the more numbers get into play, the more things happen like that. So you just can't guarantee anything. Period. No matter what, even with pythons, I'm just saying, with all these odds against you, ball python is a good place to be when it comes to projects. That's all I got to say.
That's true. Very, very true.
Because what is carrying this hobby? I feel like the ball python market.
No, without a doubt, it's what fuels so much.
It's what's getting the people who don't even care about snakes into snakes, and that's what leads to carpets or fucking hog noses or whatever. So it's a huge piece, you know what I mean? But what I think is at the end of the day, Corey, and I feel like this is what you're doing, you got to just have fun doing what you're doing,
Totally. if you're not having fun, what's even the point?
Exactly? I feel like this is something that, a lot of people love. A lot of people are good at something, but they don't always love doing it. Like there's a lot of people have a skill. There's a lot of people who do something to pay the bills, strippers or something, and they just don't like doing it, but they don't have a choice. Us breeders, for the most part, love doing what we do. So it's like, what better place to be? You know what I mean?
And if you don't, like, why are you doing this? There are so many easier ways to make money.
Or be happier, you know what I mean? And what's crazy is, I will say this: if this shit doesn't make you happy, God bless you. I don't know what the fuck will make you happy, because I was a very I don't want to know, but I'm always something not happy with, and I've never been so happy with what I'm doing nowadays. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So one of the things I love about your Insta stories, MJ, is you have so much with your interactions with your animals, and you can just sense that you really, really just enjoy your animals, and it's delightful. And I wish there was more of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Corey. Listen, I have a lot of big, I don't sleep much. I do sleep. Don't get me wrong, but I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, and I'll probably be out by 10, right? But then I'm up at 4. I'm up at 4 a.m. And I don't need to be up at 4. I know that, you know what I mean? But something just makes me want to be up, and I already just want to be around with what I love. And it just makes me appreciate that I'm in this position. And I've been in a place where I haven't been happy, and now I'm just I can't believe how happiness has fulfilled my life, where I just want to be up and see it all the time, and I am. It's you know what I mean? God, these animals, I give everything to the animals. You know that, Corey. I just give everything to the animals. That's what I can do.
Yep.
So let's kind of get back to business here. This year, 2022, is your fourth year breeding?
This is my third year producing animals. Yeah.
And you're looking at how many clutches this year? 40?
46-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about as far as how sales been for you, or what you feel like sales are going to be like for you this year. I mean,
yeah,
you do vend at the shows. I see that, right? You feel like vending's your big ticket to getting these snake sales going for you, or what?
No. So vending and online sales kind of go hand in hand. Sometimes at the higher end shows, NARBC shows, you'll be at those shows, you can sell higher dollar value animals. But at a lot of shows, you're really looking, at animals like $750 or less, or that's kind of the price point that's selling at most shows. A lot of shows, it's even $500 and less. And so, so the shows are, I just enjoy the shows a lot, because I get to hang out with snake people. I get to introduce people to snakes. It's just fun.
It's not fair. You guys have fun shows.
So fun.
Fuck, man. I would vet. If I lived in Texas, I would vet 100%.
Yeah, it's just, we have a blast. It's like you get to spend the weekend hanging out with your friends and seeing cool animals, and it's just, it's the best. So I typically am going to sell the higher dollar value stuff online, and the lower dollar value stuff at shows. That's typically the breakdown. There are times where it goes both directions, but I'm not putting really low end stuff up on Morph Market. Those are pretty much saving for the shows.
So basically, the show is kind of almost it's an assistance to your Morph Market sales. If anything, it helps you push what you have already out there in a sense, right?
Yes. Okay. And it's very common that someone will see something at a show and think about it for a while, and then come back to me, through Morph Market or elsewhere, and it happens that way rather than just immediately selling at a show.
Now, let me ask you this, I'm just popped in my head right now, but especially because there's a lot of shows in Texas, man. Shout out to Herb shows.
There are.
Shout out to Sean, awesome guy. Yep. But I'm curious, people who do a lot of shows, right? Are you taking these snakes from the show, your displays, and going straight from the shows right back into your collection? Because should you want to routine these before you put
Yeah,
them back?
you should.
How's that work?
Yeah, so for me it works. I have a separate room where I keep my show animals. And so
Wow, I love it.
Yeah. And I don't do as long of a quarantine for show animals as I do for like an import coming in. Right. But everything gets treated for mites after it comes in from a show. And everything.
Even though they don't have them, you still treat them.
Basically. They don't. I never see them, right. But I treat anyway because I don't ever want to see them.
See them, yeah, for sure. Smart.
Yeah. So I keep my show stuff in a separate room, and that's how I avoid that issue.
Now, what do you do as far as mite treatment? Periodically throughout the year, do you do prevenamite at all, or what's your kind of...
I'm too cheap for prevenamite, so I get the the lice spray and use that, or I get stuff and mix it in the jug and spray it.
You make your own prevenamite, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then usually when stuff's coming back from shows, they're getting treated with like the natural, like the reptile spray stuff that's like, and so we do it that way. The tricky thing is, I keep colubrids and they can't get permethrin. It's for my hognoses, it's really, it can be fatal to them. And so I have to be really careful around the hognoses too, because if they were to get mites, it would be a big weak spot.
Did anybody kind of like tell you to, be careful when it comes to dabbling in more than one species when first starting off? Did anyone kind of not push you away from getting into other species, but kind of like say like, hey, it's probably smart to just be concentrating on one thing?
I'm sure, and it would have been smart, but I have so much more fun this way.
Oh man, that's what I'm saying. Fuck it, who cares? Everyone has their own thing, and it's like my thing is learning the hard way. I feel like
there's nothing like those lessons learned the hard way.
I've had to learn so many lessons because my patience is bad. I have bad patience. When you're in a position like this, as you probably already know, patience is your best friend. You have to have patience, and only because you can't force things to happen. Like just like we were talking about, like I'm now understanding this is Mother Nature, and just like us humans, like me and my wife, we're talking about wanting to have kids, but that doesn't mean we could hit a light switch and she's gonna be pregnant. Like that means like we hope we have good luck and let's see what happens. But same shit when breeding snakes. Like you can't put your mind too much into it. You just gotta hope for the best and expect the worst, and that's just how it works.
Yes. It's amazing what happens when you expect the worst. Everything is a delight.
That's why you breed other stuff besides fucking ball pythons, and you're used to bad luck. I'm telling you, these chondros, they taught me fucking 10.
Chondros are like a whole other thing. That's there. It's the idea of breeding chondros is actually terrifying to me.
So my friend Andrew Acevedo, I don't know if you met Andrew, big, really awesome super breeder.
Okay.
But Andrew's probably been one of the most realistic friends I've ever met into this hobby. Like I'm talking about, when I first paired up my chondro for the first time in late 2017, he was just like, he's like, hey, I wish you the best of luck, but these are not for the faint of heart. Like I wish you. And I was like, why would he say that to me? Like, and I'm thinking like, what's whatever, And sure enough, she lays 16 eggs and they're all scattered all over. And Andrew is the only guy I'm giving updates to. And I'm like, dude, look what she did. And he's like, yeah, those eggs aren't going to make it, unfortunately. They're all scattered. And I'm like, what? I was like, why are you being so negative, bro? I was like, they're going to make it. But basically, he prepared me for everything that basically happened, okay? And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have this little cold heart of mine that I have now when it comes to, anything. But yeah. I was able to look at death differently, And, I just stopped crying when things died. It's just like, dude, if you want to play this game, this is the reason why so many people don't do this, because they can't handle it. So
I lost my first clutch of snakes ever. Ball pythons. The whole clutch didn't make it. And I was like, oh my God, am I just terrible at this? You know, I was having all of those thoughts, and, you know, just had to learn to persevere. And sometimes those things happen.
And that does not, even that does not happen a lot. Not too many people.
No, it doesn't.
Tank their first ball python clutch. But look, here we are. I would have never guessed that even happened to you. You know what I mean? So, but aren't you happy it kind of did? You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. It was humbling as fuck. It was actually in a lot of ways a blessing. You know, because I really, really, really knew what I was doing when that second clutch came.
Let's kind of go through it if you don't mind. What went wrong? Let's talk about what went wrong on that clutch.
So a number of things went wrong. So I got the animals as they were kind of ready to breed. They were both from Justin. Justin was like, oh, the female, like, probably should go ahead and pair them pretty quick. She's probably going to go, you know, and so I threw them together a couple of times, didn't really see anything. I had no idea that my female was gravid. She ended up ovulating within like a couple of weeks of when I got her. And so I didn't know she was gravid until I saw her sitting on a pile of eggs. Because at this point I didn't know how to recognize that a snake was gravid. I hadn't seen a lock. So thankfully I had an incubator, but it wasn't set up yet. I had to go set it up. I think where I went wrong was I initially like plugged the wrong cord into the wrong spot, and my I had a thermostat, but I think I got my cords mixed up, and I ended up with the incubator directly into the wall for like.
Who was this snake from again? Who'd you get this from?
Justin Kabelka.
All right, I have something to say after this. Go ahead and continue.
So anyway, so I had a brief temperature spike in my that I found pretty quickly, but very early on I had a brief temperature spike, and I'm guessing that's what probably did it.
Well, all I gotta say is not your fault. Okay. Okay, that's a lot to deal with. You weren't ready for that, and
I was so not ready.
I've had a Patreon member. I can't think of the person off the top of my head, but they bought a snake and then boom, it ovulated, and they're like, "What do I do?" And they were like panicking, and it's like, "Oh my God!" Like, and I don't know. I don't want to say. I mean, obviously Justin has a lot going on, you know, and it's easy. It's easy for that to happen when you have that capacity of snakes, but still, that's Justin's fault. That's not your fault at all.
No, I mean, I don't know. You know, he wasn't breeding her, so he probably had no idea that she was that close to ovulating. But
I would think though, and like I said, Justin's my boy, but I would think anybody who's going to ship out a proven breeder female would.
This one wasn't proven. This one, this was just breeder ready. This one wasn't proven.
And she laid a clutch?
Yeah, she did. She ovulated like 2 weeks after I got her.
And she never got paired. Well,
she got paired, but I never saw a lock.
He never saw a lock.
I never saw a lock. He told me to pair, like, that she's probably ready to go. Go ahead and try to pair. So I was still pairing her the entire time she was gravid. I had no idea.
I guarantee it was literally a one lock deal, and that's.
I'm sure it was.
So weak. I'm not gonna lie. She didn't have enough locks in her. I'm assuming. I'm not a professional. I'm just saying. You know, a lot of times. You know, one thing I learned a lot with, talking a lot of chondro breeders is, males locking too late or males not locking enough, and that really determining if it's going to be a good clutch or not. So,
sure,
definitely. I really feel like it just wasn't enough locks. That was,
it was. Yeah, I mean, it was not. It was it. But the result of that ended up being, I wanted to make sure that I never that was not going to happen with my second clutch. And so by the time that second clutch came around, which was the following season, I really knew what I was doing.
Right. And so what you do, or what you've done from the beginning, you do now, right? Like as far as what temps you run your incubator and all that, like everything's
so it's I've experimented some over time. I've dropped my temperature in my incubator a little bit lower, because I find that it does a little better a little bit lower. And then I ran out of the substrate I usually use this year, and so I started putting some on water for the first time, and that ended up being totally fine. So
yeah,
yep.
I love water just because it's one less thing to worry about. I'm just clumsy, like I just know, God forbid I trip over something.
That's what scares me with water is I'm just like, I'm so scared of the splash.
Yeah. That's why also you don't need to put that much water. Like
it's true.
You don't need a lot at all. And you'll see, once it comes ready, how much water is building up on the lids and stuff like that. So, I learned the hard way, because here's one thing about ball python eggs too, which I don't know about carpets because I've never bred carpets. But one thing, you cannot drop no fucking water droplets on a chondro egg. If you do that thing is turning to mold. It's fucked. I literally have never opened a ball python egg box ever throughout the 52 days. And I've opened it where water's just pouring. And and I cut, and there they are, and they're alive, and I'm like, woohoo, this is great. Yeah. But dude, you can't, like here. Okay, so I just had my first super dwarf clutch this year, right?
Oh yeah.
Fucking eggs are like this big, and I'm just like, okay. And I wasn't here, but shout out to Eric Lee. Eric Lee went ahead and put them inside of a sim container. I don't think he uses sim boxes, and I probably should have told him how much water to put, but he put quite a bit of water, right? But either way, I thought no big deal. But literally within that first week, there was so much water dropping on the eggs that these super dwarf eggs, I don't know because it was so early in the stage, but I want to say like 6 of them went bad because yeah. And so I was like,
you think it was the moisture that had them go bad?
Yeah, for sure. Because Andrew was like, dude, he was like, why aren't you wiping the lid? He's like, you should be wiping the lid every other day. I'm like, what? I was like, I don't wipe the lids ever. Like, why would I have to wipe the lids? And apparently, you don't want to get retic eggs wet either. Something about these ball python eggs that fucking lit. I don't know what it is.
I know. With carpets, I with my Brettles clutch this year, I just tossed them in a sim container, and like one of those big ones, and it was perfect for like the giant mound of eggs. Mm-hmm. And they did fine. I also have black-headed pythons that I'm going to be breeding eventually, and those ones scare me because they also are a lot more sensitive to the amount of water.
Right. Now,
but I still have time.
If you were to kind of like pinpoint, I guess, like your game plan when it comes to these triple recessive projects, because that's like the future, right? Like Justin, other people kind of already kind of hinted where this ball python market's directed. Are you pretty much game planning for that, or are you pretty much content with just the double, triple stuff? Like what are you?
So I'm not currently planning on going beyond triple, but that could potentially change at some point. Right. The problem is like you just at that point you're dealing with so many animals. And I just don't want that many animals for those projects.
You have to hold that shit back to prove it out. Like you need your own little het facility.
Yep. No, it's for sure. You need like a rack for each little project. So
with more snakes comes more work, more feeding. It's just a lot.
Yeah. It's that this was the year for me where the amount of work really hit home. It's a lot of work for me right now. So yeah.
Now let me ask you this. There's people who, I mean, they come in like myself. Like I came into this and I knew I needed to be in it, right? But I also was very intimidated by pricing on certain projects, and I had to be smart, right? So when it comes to breeding on a budget, right? Like let's say somebody's just coming into this, do you feel like it's smart to just focus on one primary project that you really love, or is it best to spread out what you possibly can and dip your hands in multiple projects?
So I will answer that by saying, I wish that I didn't get into as many recessive projects as I did. And I'm constantly looking at, do I need to which of these do I not want to keep doing and do I want to get out of? Because once you start getting into those, double, triple projects, there's so many combo possibilities and it gets to be a lot. So I would err toward do something really well versus spreading out over a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But that's totally not what I actually did.
Right. I mean, because at the end of the day, I don't know, I feel like you're kind of you have favorites, I'm sure, at this point.
Yep.
You have certain projects that you're like, if anything, I wish I could go more on this, I'm assuming, right? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I was just about ready to get rid of my dreamsicle project. I was all set, ready to go, and then I hatched a GHI dreamsicle, and I was like, well, guess this is staying. It's and it's so funny. Sometimes it's just that one animal that totally turns the project around for you.
One thing that, I can't say this because I've seen a couple of out there, but I've never been a big lab person.
It's tricky, and that's kind of why I was leaning toward moving out of that one. There's only so much you can do with that color palette.
I mean, yeah, you keep making it look like a piece of candy more and more. Right. That's about it. And right. But I feel like that's almost the case with almost any albino. I'm not hating. I know people out there are really fucking with those, and I hope you good. But I'm just saying, me personally, that was not something I was willing to invest in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, let's kind of talk about how you personally like to establish your hatchlings, and then what you like to feed your snakes from there on out. We'll just stick to ball pythons primarily here. Your snake's first shed, it's in the rack. What's the first meal for that snake?
So first meal is either a hopper mouse or a hopper ASF. I breed both, and it just kind of depends on what I have on hand. So either one, that's the first meal. We'll typically have 2 meals on hopper ASF. Then the third meal is going to be a fuzzy rat. And then, most of them will take a fuzzy rat at that point. If you need a few more hopper meals, or even getting into a small mouse meal. But typically by the 4th meal or so, with very, very rare exception, they're all eating rats.
Okay, how many have you had not take the ASF or hopper, and then they take the fuzzy rat right off the bat? I've had, I think, more than a few of those last year, which I was confused because I had Nicole Lyons on the show. She's like, I offer mine a fuzzy right off the bat. Some people just go straight to rats.
Yeah.
And that had me conflicted because I had these stragglers, and I'm like, why aren't they eating? And I was like, let me just throw a rat fuzzy in there. Boom, they ate it. And I was like, what the? So
sometimes I think it's just the novelty of something different. Sometimes, I can't explain it. I've had that happen before too. Typically, I would say 95% of my, if not higher, of my ball pythons just get with it really fast.
Yeah,
I don't tend to have feeding issues with baby ball pythons.
No, I mean, this goes back to us praising the ball python projects. You have snakes for the most part that just come out ready to rock and roll, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, when we're talking numbers here, you are going to have that 5%, where you got to figure it out. And at the end of the day, your biggest advantage is having the diversity.
That's right.
If you have a hopper, an ASF, if your state allows it, or even just having hoppers and rats, something to switch it up is very important. It can make keeping these ball pythons even easier if you have something to switch it up with, right?
Absolutely. Having a diversity of feeders is a really big deal.
For
a while I was even thinking about starting to raise button quail just so I had another option for babies, but that ended up being more than I ended up having the time to get into.
I keep hearing more people having gerbils too. I heard
interesting
on gerbils with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a number of animals that don't start on rodents normally in the wild, and so the idea of having something other than rodents to be able to offer babies is appealing.
going back to my super dwarf clutch, you know, I had a couple hatchlings that weren't eating, and I was talking to Andrew and I was talking to Eric Lee, and I had and they're like, yeah, you know, it's telling me how long to wait until I should assist feed, and I was like, well, I have a fucking couple day old quail. Let me see what happens, and they murked that day old quail, like they, you know, so I was thinking too, you know, if it's hard for you to get certain rodents, you know, and you have a hatching ball python hatching that isn't eating, offer it a day old quail. See if that fucking gets to eat. I mean, I mean, what? It's not gonna hurt it.
Or wash it. I mean, this is something I learned from breeding carpets, and hognoses now too. But I learned it from carpets. So I wash the prey item down like with I use like hunting soap, the stuff that gets all the scents off of stuff.
Okay.
Wash it down with that. Totally gets the scent of the item, of like the rat scent or the mouse scent off.
Right.
And then I get like some Reptilinks, and I open them up and just smear the feeder with like the goo from the inside of a Reptilink, and then it gets that scent all over it, and that's really effective.
Yeah,
it's gross, but it's super effective.
It's better than cutting up a damn chick and putting the guts. I mean, I've gone that far where I cut the chest open and I stuck the pinky in there. Oh man.
Yep.
Nasty. Not fun.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
What you got to do.
Yep.
I've definitely heard that. I think Gary Shavino was the one to tell me about that washing off the pinky scent and then re-scenting it. You know, one thing I have not done yet so far, because I had a chondro clutch this year, and the ones that did make it, 2 out of 3 are actually eating really well, and they took off right off chick scent. You know, I had a couple
nice.
The chick down basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They also have that chicken broth as well. Like there's so many different things people do. I mean, I'm just saying, there's so much blown off the what I should do, fucking, you know, meat or whatever the fuck to attack before having to assist feed. I feel like.
Yep. I keep frog legs in my freezer. I keep quail in my freezer. All for scenting.
Establishing carpets. I mean, for the most part, is that been pretty easy or no?
No, they're a pain in the ass. At least most of mine have been so far. So my Brettles clutch that I hatched out, so 23 babies. After 3 times offering food, I only have 6 eating. So it's usually a long road with them. They end up getting there, but typically there's going to be a lot of assist feeding for a while.
So as of right now, 6 are only eating out of the 23 right now.
That's right.
Okay, and have you had to assist feed them yet, or
I haven't yet, but I will be soon. I just gave them a 4th meal. I gave them all like teeny tiny fuzzy ASFs this time live to see if they'll go for those. And then the next after that, we're probably getting into first round of assist feeding.
Gotta love it.
Yep.
So let's talk about what you're dealing with here. Are you dealing with runners? Or are you dealing with just shy ones? What are you really dealing with?
Yeah. I mean, I typically the issue with carpets is they're not eating rodents. Like baby carpets aren't eating rodents in the wild. And so they just don't recognize it as food.
Now, I've talked to Ryan Young about this, you know, I've had previous chondro clutches where they just didn't want nothing to do with nothing, and he's told me like the list of things that he's tried.
Yeah.
And one thing that's always worked for him, and I forget how he has them, but baby skinks, baby little lizards.
Nice. I wish I had a supply of those. That would be awesome.
He's like, yeah, just go to pet store and see if anyone's gonna have a litter soon. I'm like, well, sure. Let me start hitting up all the pet stores in San Diego. Fucking Ryan Young, gotta love him. But you know,
that's amazing. But Ryan Young knows what he's talking about.
That's the man right there. No, that's
right.
Like literally the MVP of the reptile game right now is Ryan Young.
No kidding.
Hitting over. I think he's hit 30 species of pythons he's bred. I'm pretty sure it's been over 30 now.
Wow.
If not, it's just under that. But right now, he's just off right now, and it's so impressive.
That's amazing.
But yeah, you know what I mean? That's why, you know, I'm happy this podcast has brought me close to people like Ryan Young, where
no doubt,
things that hit this guy knows. You know what I'm saying? And he's been in this for so long, where I feel like he owes a lot of his success due to his patience and just just taking his licks every year. You know what I'm saying?
Don't you love just like absorbing knowledge from people like that? You're like, I want to soak everything in.
I love this podcast. Listen, I did this with very selfish intent. Like I did this podcast because I wanted information, and I felt like people like talking to me, so fuck it. And it just happened to take off, and everyone else likes it. So I always say, hey, I'm glad you guys are coming for the ride, but this is my fucking train. I do this because I'm gaining so much knowledge. And honestly, I do love helping others out when it comes to this stuff. But really, I get so much from this, and I'm really hard to like just listen. Like I have a hard time listening to people because my mind is just. But this is just something I'm so obsessed with. I just love hearing it, and so just a big change in the pace of my life for once. I love it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so check it out. I have a rapid question before we get to some hot seat questions here, Corey.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure you're still living in a not sure what's going to happen moment being full time right now, right? Like you're riding the wave right now, right?
I'm figuring it out. Yep.
But there's so many people in your position. Let me just tell you that. But I'm talking about so many people that in your position who've been doing this for years. And what I say is having a 9-to-5 and having the snake life or reptile life and literally hating their 9-to-5, literally not happy, waking up, having to go to their 9-to-5, being miserable, and then coming to their snakes and be like, oh my God, right? Not knowing, or maybe they know all the potential they have in their snakes, but they don't want to do it. But anyways, what would be your advice, or what is some suggestions for anybody out there that is just scared to do this full time, but are miserable with their 9-to-5?
So, that's a hard one for me. I'm in a fortunate position of, I have a spouse who brings in a very good income, and my family is not like dependent on my income to like have food on the table. So, that alone is a very different situation for a lot of people. So, everything I say beyond this point is taking that, with a grain of salt. I would say don't do it too soon, and make sure that you have a lot of savings when you do it, because, and make sure that you have, I don't know. I'm not far enough into it, I think, to like really, really give advice on it. It's just,
you feel happier?
Oh my God, I'm so much happier. I was miserable. I wasn't enjoying the snakes anymore because I was tired all the time. And I just it was the only thing I had time for with the snakes was like just basic husbandry. I didn't even have time to post my animals anymore. And so, yeah, much, much, much happier now. Much, much, much happier.
What's your husband's name? Can we shout to the spouse real quick? What's your husband's name?
His name is Chad. He's amazing. Yeah.
Shout out to you, Chad. Chad, you're a real one, Chad. That's all I gotta say.
He puts up with a lot. He puts up with a lot.
Well, I'm just glad because you know what? Like my wife puts up with a lot, but understand that there's people out there where it's the husband going through a lot, and this is this case right here. So it's all about the sacrifice, and your husband's sacrificing. My wife is sacrificing. You and I are in a good place, Corey Martin. You know that? We are living the dream, friend. Oh my God, Corey, I love it. This is definitely an hour and a half. It isn't enough. We'll definitely do another round in the near
sounds
future.
Good.
I gotta say, I'm happy to get to know with what you have going on with your project. I'm really happy to know that you are technically a new breeder on the block. You've been doing this less than 5 years.
Yep.
And I would have never guessed that because the way you carry yourself at the shows, how so many people respect you, how you're tapped into so many different people. I got to say that you are definitely doing things the right way. And I'm happy to have an acquaintance with you. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Well, hot seat questions. You ready for these hot seat questions?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, listen. Do me a favor. No explanation. The quicker, the better. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Hot seat questions for Corey Martin Reptiles coming in hot. You ready, Corey?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. 8 cut or no cut?
Cut.
On what day?
Day 56.
Frozen thawed or live?
Live.
ASF or wrap?
ASF.
red chondro meal or yellow chondro meal?
Red.
Nice. Pre-first shed meal or post-first shed meal?
Post first shed.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Imports, kind of in the middle.
Let's say you were in
I can't
Congress.
yay or boo right now.
Let's say that the pen was in your hand and this effed up president we had was like, hey, it's up to you. Yay imports or no? What would you say? Yes or no to allow imports?
I would say yes because it brings diversity. Sorry, I'm not supposed to explain.
Okay, what's one reptile you would import to your collection anywhere around the world? Doesn't matter if it takes up money or space. What reptile would it be?
Oh, a Bolin's.
Nice. I love it. What about one reptile nobody should ever touch? Leave it alone. Don't fuck with it.
Chameleons.
I respect that because they're so better out there. You know what I mean? They usually crash out and it's not the same.
Yep.
I agree. To spray a snake or to not spray a snake?
Spray like mite spray?
No, like just mist. You know, like mist.
Most no, but some yes.
I need a yes or no answer, man.
Oh, damn it. Fuck.
To mist?
I mean, yeah, mist.
Okay, that's it. That's all you gotta
Shit.
say. Yay sports or boo sports?
Boo sports.
All right. Wow. Big flexor or no flexor?
No flexor.
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
Okay. Yay alcohol or boo alcohol?
God, these are hard. Yay alcohol.
Favorite alcohol beverage?
I like beer.
Nice. How about steak or fish?
Steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
Ribeye.
Nice. Yes. Okay. How about Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Van Halen.
Yes. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
Oh, West Coast all day.
Yes. Favorite West Coast rapper of all time?
Tupac.
Woo! Corey, you're on fire! He's getting bonus points right now. That's amazing. Okay, little word association. First thing to come to mind, FedEx shipping.
Great.
Milk.
Gross.
Substrate.
Reptile.
First time ball python breeder.
God bless.
First time carpet python breeder.
Yay.
Stuck shed.
Dry.
NARBC Arlington show.
Fun.
Instagram trolls.
The worst.
If you had to pick one special project to work with, other than the ball pythons, you can only pick one, what project would it be?
Not a ball python project?
Ball pythons are a given. We already know that, right? But
Okay. Something.
say there would be one other one. You know, you can't be, what you're doing
Oh.
now. Just one other species to work with other than ball pythons. What would it be?
Oh, I would get back into Apodora.
Wow, dude. I love hearing that. That's awesome to hear. Well, you killed that. Good job. Hot tea questions in the book.
Yay!
And episode in the book. Listen, we had well over 80 people at one point tapping in, showing you all love. What do you have to say?
Awesome.
Everyone out there showing you mad support, Corey.
Thank you so much, you guys. I've been looking at all the comments and I really appreciate all the love, and back at you.
Best way to stay on top of your productions would be Instagram, I'm assuming, or what?
Yep. So Instagram is where I do most of my stuff. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Morph Market page, and I occasionally post on TikTok.
Awesome. And I will see you at Arlington show, I'm assuming. Right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, it's a wrap for Corey Martin, Reptiles. Ladies and gentlemen. Bye, Corey. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Oh, my God. Look, there's spam in the chat. I haven't had spam in so long. What's wrong with these sickos? Go away. Anyways, guys, that's a wrap. I appreciate everyone who tapped in, showed mad love and support for Corey Martin. Texas was definitely in the building. Appreciate all the super chats. Definitely mad love when it came to that. And guys, remember, if this was your first time tapping in, definitely hit that like button because Corey just had an amazing podcast here. And then hit that subscribe button if you want to see more podcasts, if you want to gather more knowledge, more information from these breeders. you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. You're going to want to hit that notification bell. Be a part of that notification gang. That way on top of every single podcast I drop here on this channel. And don't forget about my other channel, guys. I come out with vlogs every week on my Snake Trap Session Vlogs channel on YouTube. Type in the Snake Trap Session Vlogs. Hit that subscribe button there. That way on top of every single vlog, I either put updates on what's going on with my own collection, my own breeding projects, and then half of the other stuff I put out are me visiting other people's collections, facility tours, all sorts of special stuff coming from that YouTube channel. So make sure you guys don't sleep on that as well. And I got to say thank you to all the love and support, everyone who's active in the comments, you out there watching. Last but not least, shout out to my Patreon members. If you out there want to get tapped in more to what I have going on, if you want behind-the-scene type information, and you're going to head down to the link below, click on the Snake Trap Sessions Patreon link. Click on the Trap Talk Patreon link. Join the Patreon family today, and I will catch you guys Thursday. Who do we have this Thursday? Who knows? Who knows what's going down this Thursday? Does anybody know? Can anybody guess? I know somebody knows. Go ahead and say it. What's going down this Thursday night, guys? Well, guess what? It's that time. It's that time of the month. It is time for me, Chris Eaton, the Nobody Safe session. But guess who we have with us? Antoine Hood. That's who we have. We're gonna go ballistic. We're gonna be talking about reptile politics, baby. What's that all about? Tap in and find out. I'm tapping out, guys. I'll see you guys this Thursday, and I'll